What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Gregway. You know the drill. Every Wednesday and Friday, I take one of your questions, answer them here on YouTube. You like, subscribe, share, and love me as much as I love you. Today's question comes from 777 Joppy. 777 Joppy says, "Hey Greg, how and why do you love Superman so much?" Okay, well, how do you love... I believe it's something to do with brains and neurons and how feelings are made to be felt. I don't know about that part. But why do I love Superman? That's an easy question, 777 Joppy. Because Superman's the best story ever told. You have this guy, it's the most American story ever told, too. And that's the big thing. People miss this about Superman all the time. They start thinking of him as an alien. That's when I lose interest in the Superman story. And this is one of the reasons why Smallville is the greatest interpretation of Superman in our lifetime. The greatest live-action interpretation of Superman in our lifetime. See, Superman's this orphan, right? He lands in America. He doesn't know what's going on. He lands in our world, and then all the great parts of America, all the good values, all the, you know, down-home spirit of the breadbasket of this here country gets imbibed in him. By the time he learns out he's a Kryptonian and everything else, he's like, well, it's okay, but I'm gonna sit here and fight for what's right on the planet Earth and protect Earth and take care of Earth. And it's a great story, and he takes really good care of all of us. And then, see, the cool thing about Superman, of course, is that he is, you know, basically a god, right? He can fly, he can shoot heat out of his eyes, he can do all these crazy things, but he chooses not to let the power go to his head, right? You remember this from high school history. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now, in the case of Superman, he could very easily, you know, kill all the world leaders and take over and just, you know, rule the earth as he sees fit. And some of the good stories that you see in the Superman continuity about this, such as Injustice, Gods Among Us, the comic book, you should be reading it right now, digital download from DC Comics. They toy with that idea, but the basis is that Superman doesn't. He's such a pure person. He doesn't do this. And, you know, I've talked about this before, I think, on podcasts. Portillo's a different toy now. The fact that, you know, I went to Catholic school for the first 13 years of my life, right? Kindergarten through high school, every year, you know, going every year, going to getting in uniform, going to masses, going and, you know, learn about religion, everything else. When I think about morality, when I think about a choice I want to make, I don't think about what would Jesus do. I think of what would Superman do, and not in like a cheesy cartoon way. I mean, but like, you know, he's somebody who could do whatever he wants. You know, somebody insults you on the bus, right? Are you going to get all razzled and frazzled and want to fight the guy? Or are you going to let it bounce off you like Superman has to? Like when he's Clark Kent, he just has to let these things happen. Or when he's Superman, obviously he's not going to fight every dude. He could kill everybody. He could destroy everybody in one punch. He knows it. He chooses to be the better man and not go that route. Superman's a morality tale. It's a bootstraps, raise yourself up from the ground thing. It's an outsider's tale. There's so much to get into. And I'll tell you why I think a lot of people don't like Superman is the fact that the Christopher Reeve movies fucked everything up. And don't get me wrong, love these movies, love the Richard Donner movie, but the problem is that, for me, that's just one piece of Superman. That's just one interpretation of the character for Superman. But for a lot of people, it's their only thing, right? So people saw those movies, and they're like, man, fuck this guy. He can time travel? He can rewind the time of the Earth and undo everything? That's way too powerful. And they're right, it was too powerful. And of course, this is a big problem in comics. That's why there was a whole Crisis thing back in the day that, you know, basically depowered Superman a bit, brought all the universes together, made one DC Comics universe, made one Superman who wasn't so crazy powerful that he could just basically push planets out of orbit when an asteroid was coming in and bring back in. They got rid of that. And so I grew up reading about a Superman who, you know, still was Superman, obviously, bullets bounce off him, all that jazz. But, you know, he had to go through trials and tribulations. Things got in his way. He had villains that could match him. He died, you know, with Doomsday and everything else. There's a lot to Superman. He's a multifaceted character, and I think one of the big problems with comics today is the ongoing comic makes for really boring storylines. If I had my way and I bought DC Comics, I would say, great, we know all these characters, let's not do so many ongoing series, and instead let's say, Jeff Johns, I want you to write a 12-issue Superman story, and that'll be it. It'll happen outside of any continuity. You'll be able to read it, enjoy it, you know these characters. Lex Luthor's up to something, maybe he's not. You know, you look at the things that are most exciting right now at DC, it's the digital stuff. It is Injustice, it is Smallville, because they're allowed to do whatever they want with it, right? Injustice is simply, all hell's broken loose, Metropolis has been destroyed, Lois is dead, what would Superman do with that information? And that's a super interesting story. You're able to kill characters in that you're not. Meanwhile, in what I feel are the boring books of the New 52, such as Superman and Action Comics, you have Superman running around having to fight made-up fire and wind villains, right? That are just like, well, we need him to fight something. We can't have him fight Lex every time. We can't have him fight Metallo every time. So they introduce characters that are really boring and motivations that are interesting. Superman is interesting when it's dealing with his emotions. You know, people say say he's invulnerable, so that, except for kryptonite, of course, or magic. I think watching him deal with the his relationship with Lois. Right now, the most interesting thing in the DC New 52 involving Superman is the fact that he's dating Wonder Woman, right? Watching their relationship evolve and how they play off of each other. That's what's exciting. So why do I love Superman so much? He's a great character. He's a great story. When in the right hands, nothing can beat a great Superman book. That's why I told you in one of the other Gregways, go read Last Son. It's by Jeff Johns and Richard Donner. You will love it. And if you don't, you are stupid. So there you go. Thank you so much for your question, 77Joppy. If you have one, ladies and gentlemen, leave them in the comments here on this episode of Gregway, or tweet me at GameOverGreggy. I don't care either way. Then make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can come back every Wednesday and Friday and see me answer another question here on Gregway.